All right, now I was asked to do an article for the American Society of Training and Development. So if you're a member of that, you'll see that come out in the T&D magazine sometime in the next month or two. They asked me to do that because of my book, Invaluable. And by the way, if you're watching this video on my site, you can click on the book right there, and that will take you right to where you can purchase the book. But I wrote an article about the end of job security as we know it. Now, I'm not able to share that with you because it's an exclusive article, but I am going to talk about it in this video because it's a really important issue right now. It's something actually that I've been talking a lot about as I've been doing interviews. If you look at the headlines of what's going on right now in the world, job security is at an end, folks. There's no such thing anymore. It used to be that if you worked for the government, you had job security. But right now, Obama is asking for $50 billion to bail out federal employees to keep their jobs. It used to be that you could have tenure as a professor or a teacher, and that would help you keep your job. But there's a shakedown going with that right now, where all of a sudden teachers are losing their tenure and their pay is dependent upon the measuring scale. Now, there's all controversy about whether or not that's going to be a valid scale, but the point is this, that just having a job in some cushy company or for a nonprofit organization or for the government, that isn't enough anymore. You have to provide value. And one of the things that I talk about in this article that I wrote is what I learned by interviewing the greatest generation. Now, I've talked about this before, but there is a really interesting thing. As I look back at this, I realized that the concept of job security is actually very new. If you look back at post-World War II, that was a foreign idea. Part of the reason why you saw people from the greatest generation work so long in a company is because there was such a concern that they wouldn't have a job. Or maybe a better way of putting it is that they were grateful for the opportunity to work in the job that they were in. Then you compare that as the economy got better and as you compared things as it went along, there was a shift in mentality and people started to take employment for granted. They started to think, oh, I've got a college degree, these people around me are getting paid something, therefore I should get paid. And it was really more in the 80s and 90s that this concept of job security started entering into the discussion. Now we're back into that mode that people were prior to World War II, where they're starting to be concerned about job security, where they're saying, oh my gosh, I might not have a job, what do I do to keep my job? Now, there are really powerful lessons that we can learn from the greatest generation, and also that I can share with you from the surveys that we put out. A lot of you participated in those surveys where we asked employees and employers, what does it mean to be invaluable? So let me just refer to my notes here. The first question that you need to be asking yourself is, am I invaluable? And what's the answer to that question? As I go out and I talk to different companies, I'm shocked when I speak with employees and I ask them to answer that question, are you invaluable? I'm not shocked by the answers, I'm shocked by the fact that they haven't even been asking themselves that question. This is a foreign concept to many people. Am I invaluable? What kind of value am I providing to the company? That is where you need to begin. Are you someone that the company doesn't want to live without? Now, we can get into a semantics debate about, can you really be irreplaceable? This is a homespun definition of what it means to be irreplaceable. Are you someone that the company really, really, really would rather not do without? That's what it means to be invaluable. That's what it means to be irreplaceable. That you're someone that they need. And most people aren't asking themselves that question. So here's the other thing that I learned from the survey that I did. In general, employees were pessimistic about the possibility of becoming irreplaceable in a company. They were much less likely to think that that was even a possibility. But if we talk to the employers, they'd say the opposite. They were strongly in favor of this idea that employees could be invaluable. In fact, many times they would tell us, I want that to take place within my company. So why is there this big disconnect? Well, there's a lot of skepticism out there, but there are a couple of lessons that anyone can learn from this. First of all, that employees need to understand what value means in the company that they're working in. When we asked employees, what does it take to become irreplaceable, to become invaluable, I would get very generic answers. Things, typically like loyal, dependable, hardworking, things that you would expect to hear. But when we asked the employers what it took to become invaluable or irreplaceable, they gave very specific answers. One owner of a mom and pop store told us that they have the ability to see the business through the eyes of the owner. Another CEO mentioned an employee by name, gave really specific description about how she's an expert in a very critical system in the chain of purchasing. These are the things that if you're an employee, you need to be asking yourself, am I invaluable, and what does it mean to my company to really be invaluable? And if you are an employer, you need to be communicating that to your employees. And one of the things also that I talk about in the article is this myth of getting noticed. People often ask, how do I get noticed by my boss? Getting noticed is not a virtue. That's not something to seek for. In fact, there are a lot of ways to get noticed that aren't very helpful. What you really want to do is become someone that is wanted. The question you should be asking is, how do I become someone that my boss wants to work with forever? And the best way to figure that out is by asking simple questions. The best question you can possibly ask is, what can I do to make your job easier? What can I do to make your job easier? Another question could be, what can I do to become invaluable to you? And definitely, here's an eye-opening question. What am I not doing right now that you wish I was doing? Now, a lot of employees are scared to ask those questions. They feel like if I ask questions about what I'm not doing or opening myself up to criticism, that all of a sudden my boss is going to start thinking, how can I fire this person? Or maybe I should fire this person. The opposite is true. When you start asking questions like this, you start to make yourself someone who is invaluable because you're demonstrating that you're consistently, daily trying to improve your skill set. That's a mentality that comes from the greatest generation. That's something that they did, is every single day they would try to leverage every hour that they had and provide more value to their employer than what they were getting paid. Well, at least the ones that were successful during that time period. And there's no reason why you can't have that mentality right now. Like, you can't say, how can I give back 3 times more than what I'm getting paid? I talk a lot about what I call the rule of 3. The idea that if someone pays $1 to work with me, they should be able to get $3 back to the bottom line. Are you providing that kind of value? Or are you thinking, I should get paid more, I'm worth more than this? If you think you should get paid more, then show it. Demonstrate it by your value. Give more and go beyond what's expected of you. And that's a huge step that you can take toward becoming invaluable. So, job security as you know it is dead. Forget about it. It doesn't exist. But the good news is you have control. You can make your job secure and you can increase your pay even in a bad economy when you increase the value that you're delivering for the company that you work for.